Welcome to another conversation with SYD Life. I am thrilled to be joined today with the wonderful Chris Cooper, who is just a hero. We love you and Jeff so deeply. And today we're going to be talking about how to keep our marriages strong, fun, very important, fresh, whilst having children. This is a huge topic, Chris, and I'm so excited to chat with you about it. Personally, for myself, I have 3 small children, so I'm ready to glean from you today.
Thanks, Caley, and your children are adorable.
Oh, you're a gift to them. They love you. But let's just get to know you a little bit first before we dive in. You've got 2 beautiful daughters. How old are they?
Ruby will be 29 next Monday.
Oh, stop.
And Eloise will be 27 in August.
Oh, beautiful. Yep. They're both married.
To magnificent men.
Yeah.
And we adore them.
Very special. And how long have you been married for?
31 years coming up this June.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 weeks.
Wow. What a celebration. So you and Jeff have been married 31 years. You must have had some great dates and some terrible dates, but I want to know, what was the best date he ever took you on?
Oh, my gosh. We've had some pretty nice dates.
Yeah.
I would say actually the night he proposed to me, which was
special.
About 31 years ago. It was just 3 months before we got married.
Wow.
And I wasn't expecting it. So it's not like today where they have the fanfare and the overhead thingamajiggy. He was meant to go to Orange that morning and he changed his mind and I said, do you want to go for dinner tonight?
So you said let's go for dinner?
No, he said.
Oh, he did. So he did have a plan.
Me. He had a
Okay. Yeah.
And
tell us a quick snapshot.
Oh, okay. I was living back at Mum's at Hornsby and Jeff picked me up and we headed north and there's nothing much north of Hornsby. And we got to Barara and I thought, why are we at Barara? Now, Jeff's really cluey on restaurants in Sydney.
Right.
And he would have gone, Barara, what's a Barara? Barara Inn. So we turn up and there's this A-frame house with bright lights flashing and a little sign saying, steak dinner on special tonight, $6.95. So I said, this is not, he said, this is not what I had planned. And he was thinking the Barara Inn. So a Yui.
Classic.
Yeah, Yui back to Hornsby. Anyway, this was a fabulous restaurant on the highway in a really old home and we got in there and it happens to be 200 metres from where both my grandparents lived and my parents grew up. So it was kind of special.
Special.
And he organised it with the chat when we walked in that he was going to propose. So it was really, really great.
So special. What a date.
It was really great.
Great date.
Yep.
And let's talk about the silliest fight you've ever had. We all fight, let's be honest, in our marriages. I vividly remember my first fight as a married couple. We walked into our first place together and he wanted to leave the air conditioning on when we left and I wanted to turn it off.
You were right.
So here we are having a very crazy fight over something very silly, but tell me about yours.
Okay, similar. It was actually just in our early days.
Right.
And Jeff had already had his home in Narembeen that he had with all his brown furniture, so that went out and my stuff came in.
Right, yes.
And he said, hey, let's get a group of people to come back for lunch. And I went, well, no. And he said, but, they can all come back. And I said, but I have no food prepared. He said, we'll go to Coles. And I said, in those days, 30 years ago, there's no nice salads in Coles or Woolies. They were this horrible coleslaw. And I just refused. And we got home and he didn't understand. And we had
Jeff.
it. That went, Jeff.
Jeff. I'm sure he's learned by now.
He has. My way or no way. No, not true. So we did a bit of a discussion, compromise.
Yeah.
And I said, look, let's prepare for it as long as I can make something the night before. But he had to understand it was my home as well and I'm really love entertaining.
Yeah.
So I was kind of embarrassed, the chip plates went and all my stuff came in. No, sorry, I'm making feeling. Yeah, but it was a fight that went on for a while, a couple of weeks.
Right.
We had to get to know each other
totally.
and understand where we were both coming from.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So good. Well, let's dive in. So marriage. It's a huge topic. And we want to keep our marriages fun and strong, and obviously having children in the mix causes new pressures, new levels. It brings, something I learned is it's brought emotions out in me I never knew I had, like extreme love and extreme frustration all in one. And you give a lot of time to your children and somehow in the mix trying to keep a strong marriage. So first I want to ask you, what's some practical things you guys have done over the years to keep your marriage strong in the midst of having small children, and even as they get older, I'm sure they still need you. I'm not in that season yet, but you don't just kick them out the door and you're done. But particularly in those young days when the kids need so much from you, what's some practical things you and Jeff did to keep your marriage strong?
I would say one of the non-negotiables was holidays.
Yeah, wow.
And when we met, we did 1 week honeymoon, then he came home, went to work. He was building up his own business, so, credit due to him.
Yeah.
Then the next year we did a bit longer, and then the next year a bit longer, and we did that every single year,
Right.
just the 4 of us.
Yeah, wow.
Never went with another family, and we've done that since they were born until they both got married.
Yeah, wow.
And even then we kind of one came along, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how I find that so important.
Yeah, right.
Just to have that family time. And because Jeff was working really hard, he was probably doing 60 hours a week, he maybe didn't join us mentally for a couple of days either. So that gave him some time to calm down, get his head sorted. And then it was fantastic. And we didn't go overseas. We did once when they were in their later years in high school. We just either drove up the North Coast or we had frequent flyers. And I would plan that 6 months in advance.
Yeah, right.
So I could get good deals. And, you ask my kids, the girls, what's their favourite memories, and they'd say that, as would I from when I was growing up,
Yeah, wow.
with my family. So with Nano and Uncle John, 7 of us in the car, driving up to Queensland.
Yeah. Yeah, holidays, gosh, so important. That just dedicated time together, switching off from stress and just really having quality time. What's your love language and Jeff's love language?
Mine is gifts.
Okay,
And then the other 4, because they're really,
They're all
love them all. I
mixed in.
love them all. And Jeff's is touch.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So,
nice.
Hello, darling.
I think
Could you
every
cook dinner
guy's
tonight?
love language is touch, let's be
funny,
honest.
aren't
But we're not
they?
going to talk about that today.
No.
That's off limits. We don't want to embarrass the children, do we?
No, we do not.
We do not. What about date nights? Did you ever do date nights? How did you make that work with small children?
Yes, and I think you've got to consider not only date night, the babysitting factor.
Yeah.
So we couldn't always find babysitters. We'd moved a few times. So our date night would have been a date day.
Yeah, okay,
So
nice.
if the girls were, particularly if they were at school camp or church camp even,
Yeah.
I would absolutely factor that in and we'd go away for a night,
Yeah, beautiful.
making sure, because they're not there. Or if they had, both were going to a same birthday party.
Yeah.
I know it's easier. We've only got the 2 girls. People with 4 might find that a bit more difficult. And I'm the queen of picnics.
Love it.
So I'd pack up, make a nice quiche, or we'd go to a restaurant. But invariably it was a picnic.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
we've got such a beautiful areas in all over Sydney to have picnics. Whether it's Parramatta River, for us it's the National Park up here, Palm Beach, and that would be our date day, as opposed to getting dressed up. And I love getting dressed up,
Yeah.
but you sort of sit there and both be really tired and go, do you want to go home and watch a movie?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
So that's
great.
how I would take advantage of every opportunity when I knew the girls were doing something else. And of course we got babysitters from time to time, or mum would come over or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
nice, great. And you guys are very fun and very fresh,
Thanks, darling.
So how do you keep that in your marriage? Would you say, obviously, the date nights and the holidays, that would be a big key, but anything else?
Yes, I think that Jeff and I really like doing things. We like doing things together.
Yeah, great.
But we also like doing things apart. So our whole family, you know what our motto is?
Yeah,
balance, fun, and being kind.
Beautiful.
But fun is the big
like your
factor.
values.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're our family values.
Very cool.
And do fun things. So I would, it goes back to picnics again. I've got photos of us and the kids being like 5 and 6, 5 and 7 or whatever,
Yeah.
up at Palm Beach with a barbecue. Yeah. So I'd pack it all up, and Jeff would get home at say 6:30, hop in the car, and we go and have a barbecue on a Wednesday night. So that was fun. The kids
Yeah.
were playing in the water on the Pittwater side. Claireville's great for that as well.
Yeah.
We also rode bikes together,
Yeah.
and the kids. Jeff's done three half marathons with the girls.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I know. So that was sort of fun. Ours was more in that outdoorsy,
Yeah, great.
more athletic type of stuff, more so than, the kids read books and stuff, but,
Yeah.
not really. No.
Yeah. That's all right. They're outdoors playing. I love that you have set values for your family. That's really beautiful. Did you do that together or did you do it as a family? How did you do that?
We talk a lot.
Yeah.
You may know that. We actually
What?
communicate. I know, shock, horror. I didn't know that.
We love it. We love it.
And Jeff, again, we're similar on the same page, same age. I don't know if that's important, but for us, marrying later in life and having kiddies a bit later in life too.
Yeah.
So we had time to do life without being married and kids and realise how great it is being married and how great it is having kids.
Yeah, wow.
And this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Look, we had our ups and downs.
Yes, of course.
Jeff would sometimes walk in the door and I'd be pulling my hair out.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, come in, darling. Let me throw rose petals on the floor as you walk up the corridor. Oh, let me catch your slippers. Nothing like that. None of that.
No, none of that. No, that's good. So let's talk communication. Where do we even begin? But, with children obviously running around, even finding time to communicate well together, not just yelling at each other or getting frustrated or how do you and Jeff communicate well, particularly in that season of having small children?
Good question. And we, as I said, we're great communicators, but I'm not such a good communicator if Jeff's done something that's really annoyed me and I shut down.
Yeah, right.
And you have to, Jeff would find a way, what's up, what can I do? Now, the answer is not from me. If you can't work it out, I'm not going to tell you. That is not the answer to give because he can't read my mind.
Totally.
So I would say, I have to get my phrases right or I just want to think about it and I wouldn't be horrible to him, but I'm certainly not in the love mode.
Yeah.
And so we would sit down and we would talk and we had to find the right time. He's not going to come in for a really heavy day at work.
Yeah, it's great.
And I've got the kids ready to go to bed and then we go, well, you don't do that. And not to be on don't be defensive. So don't come at it at attacking mode. And I really appreciated the fact that he did try and not just shut it away and go, well, that's your problem. He'd want to know.
Yeah, great.
And even when we first started dating, I come from a very non-confrontational family. Like my brother and my sister are my best friends.
Right.
So we've never really, because they really are.
Yeah.
And he said, he might have spoken to me sharply.
Yeah, right.
Which I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
So awful. And anyway, I would sort of go, and, pathetic me, like a little. And he said, I've worked you out. He said, you just love to be loved and you love to have nice words spoken over you. He said, he said, you're like a flower. And then when I say nice things, you just blossom.
Yeah, wow, beautiful.
Wow, that's very insightful for a man.
Yeah. What a guy.
What a guy. So you pick the right time.
Yeah, it's good wisdom.
And don't do it in front of the kids.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and we didn't fight so much that we disagreed intensely.
Right.
So there was no viciousness. Don't say vicious things.
Yeah.
Do it kindly if you're going to fight.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Don't go in there and get, this is when I really want to tell you something. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
So I think,
Yeah. So you talked about picking the right time. When is the right time to have conversations like this?
It has to be when the kids go to bed.
Yeah.
Then you're both tired.
Yeah.
Or you might say, if you could go into work late. You don't have, I at 10 o'clock next Wednesday morning want to discuss with you what we've got a problem in our marriage. I don't think that's going to work either.
Yeah, sure.
But you need to, you'll know, go, look, we really need to talk about this.
Yeah.
This is really, and then
Yeah,
Jeff would go to work and say, hey, I'll come home early or, yes, let's talk about this.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's finding the time. It's finding the time when the kids aren't there.
Yeah, it's really good.
And that's kind of hard when they live with you.
Yeah, totally. And they're on your leg and you're breastfeeding. Yeah, it's true. No, timing is important. And I think as well finding time when you're not frustrated, you've calmed down a bit, you've got your thoughts together.
Very good. Why didn't I think of that?
It's not coming out of emotion.
Of anger.
Yeah, out of anger, but you're coming, you said it before, not coming defensively, but humbly and like, hey, this is something we really need to talk about.
And preempt it with, I really love you.
Yeah.
And you don't, I really love you, but because I really love Jeff.
Yeah,
and if anything, and he knew how much I loved him. So you're not coming in to be horrible and attacking. So that's very good.
Yeah, beautiful. I would like to ask you a question that we haven't prepared for because I think it's something that every parent struggles with in this day and age, and it's how to be present with our children. I think with phones and both parents working and learning how to switch off, come home and just be there with your children. Even like you say, maybe there's things you want to talk to your husband about, but your kids are there wanting your attention. Tell me how you and Jeff be present at home with your children.
Yep. Jeff was very good at it. Look, I was very fortunate that I was a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah,
now, that doesn't mean that I was actively involved in church, in the school.
Yeah.
So I might only have 3 hours a day at home and you'd run around like a maniac tidying it up.
Totally.
But when Jeff came home from work, and he might not go home till 7:30, he'd text me and I'd actually say to the girls, Dad's home soon, Dad's coming home, he'll be here in 10 minutes. So that he's also in the car, and he told me, he said, my brain he might have only been talking to a candidate or a client, so he's already off with a fare, he's coming home.
Right.
And he said he'd get to Mona Vale before he came to Bayview and go, I'm coming home, get my father face on, get my dad head on. So more, chat to Jeff, he was great.
Yeah.
But I preempted the kids' anticipation of Dad's home, and it wasn't your father's home.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, they would run to that front door and he'd run into his arms and he'd cuddle them, and I'd give him 10 minutes just alone time a bit, because I'm ready to, spring out with my 25,000 words that I haven't used all day. But he would come down and he'd be with them and talk. He'd put them to bed.
Yeah,
he'd read them a story. And then, so that was him being present, and I was always got on their level if they're talking to me.
Yeah, right.
So if you speak to my children, they will look you in the eye.
Yeah, right.
And I taught them that. Beautiful. We taught them please and thank you. So I'm ever present in that. I really tried to be with them when we were with them. It's really hard though. Like you're in the car and they want to tell you a story and you go, oh, I've heard that story before.
Yeah.
Yes, darling, I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, it's good. So coming home from work, almost like leaving work in that car, walking to that front door, and it's like you're focused, you're present with your children.
Yes. And Jeff would take the girls on dates to McDonald's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that gave me my time. So I'd go and have a bath, or I don't know, do something that I wanted to do, like watch a romantic rom-com. They weren't old enough then.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think the kids really valued being with him as much as me, because it was like family time. When they started getting their mobile phones, we would go out if we did go out for dinner with the kids, like the local Chinese, no way would they have their phones. And we have one of our children, maybe the little bit bossy. No, the strong.
No, never.
No. They're so gorgeous. And she said, phones on the table, turn your phones off. Dad, please turn your phone off.
Oh, it's so good.
I know.
I love
I went,
it.
I don't want to. But anyway, I did. I obeyed my daughter.
Yeah.
So just be aware if those phones go off. I think it's a bit different for you. We didn't have mobile phones when our kids were young. So.
I had like a bit of a moment with my kids the other day when, we're like having a family day. What do you want to do? And the first thing he said was no phones. And I was like, God, knife in my heart, but also just such a good, wake up of like, gosh, like as much as we're trying not to be on our phones a lot, we are, and when we're meant to be present with our children in that moment. We've also started just leaving them, phones in our car, or we say to each other,
hang on, that's another step.
Don't walk in the front door if you've got to make another phone call or text. If that takes you 10 more minutes, stay in the car and do that, and then come in and be ready to be present with the children. But it's hard. Oh my gosh, it's such a discipline. Yes. But I do think our children just want our time, don't they? They want our attention.
They want you to play. They want to play.
Yeah.
They want to muck around.
Yeah, totally. So Chris, I want to ask you another question. What are some great resources out there for some people listening today that might want to do a bit more of a deep dive into this topic?
Well, actually, I might digress with that one.
All right,
and
love it.
Talk about I would go to my community as well.
Yeah,
like actually I was with my sister, and she's younger than me. She's been married for 36 years. And I actually said to her, what's your tip for marriage? Yeah. And she said, you have to give when you don't feel like giving. And I went, wow, that's great. Or I'd
very good.
Go to my friend or pastor and to have a whinge.
Yeah.
And because you don't want to go to everyone whinging and find out, get some advice. Yeah, I read a lot of books, and I'm going to recommend Shaunti Feldham. She's from the States, and she has one for women and one for men. And this is called For Women Only.
Oh, I love it.
I've got a little bookmark in there. And they also do one for men.
Yeah,
I've had a squiz at it, and it's good.
Okay.
Very different because they're so different, men from us.
we are. We're different.
And the other one is his needs and her needs.
Yeah,
and
great. Good
by
book.
William Harley. Because as you know, women need love,
Yeah.
men need respect. Totally different. Their needs are totally different to
Yeah,
ours.
very good.
And I also listen to podcasts and predominantly Family Life, which is an American one, and Shaunti also speaks on that. They have one with Marriage for Benefit.
Yeah,
have a listen to
great.
those two and also focus on the family. Brilliant stuff as well.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's so helpful. Thank you, Chris.
It's all I can do, not to send them to my children and son-in-laws.
Yeah,
You need to
no,
listen to this.
no, send it to us as well. We need
I
it.
don't.
We need it. Well, we'll put all those resources in our show notes for
Right.
anyone listening so they can look them up later.
Fantastic.
So, strong marriage. Any final thoughts for us in this season of life? How do we keep our marriages strong?
I think appreciate each other and speak well.
Yeah, it's good.
We would always speak well to each other when we could, excuse me.
Yeah.
And the children are taught to say please and thank you and be polite. Our kids would never hear us. I would never yell at my children.
Right.
I would raise my voice, like, no.
Yeah.
But even if I ask them to do something, please go and tidy your room.
Yeah.
Or just never demand. And they'll carry that through, that they won't just demand things from people. For our marriage, it's a similar thing. And I really speak highly of Jeff because that's how he's just a great man. I mean, I go and whinge to my mum and my sister about him from time to time. And then my mother turns around and goes, what did you do wrong? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. But
It's never me.
yeah, no. And they take that, they really take that on board. The kids, they'll listen to you. They will watch you. They will see how Dan treats you.
Right.
Especially the boys.
Yeah.
My girls expect to be treated like, oh, for goodness sake, I'm not a princess, but really I am.
Yeah.
Not to say that they need that, but they're strong women, independent women as well.
Yeah, they
and I remember about a month ago, I think, or whatever, the kids were all over. I think they call them kids. They're actually in their late 30s, all of them. Yeah. Those adults came over and for lunch or something, and Jeff was fiddling with the barbecue and I wanted him to do something else. So I went out and said, look, for goodness sake. Well, one of my children looked at me and said, oh, Mum, don't talk to Dad like that in front of us. And I went, oh, and it really, I really kind of went, oh, that's annoying. You can't, you know why it was annoying? Because she was right.
Yeah, right.
And she's right. She doesn't want me to belittle Dad or put him down in front of her and her husband and the other, the other couple that were there. Yeah. And so we've tried to instill in that, speak well of each other.
It's really good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good. And then keeping those values. I love that. Balance, fun, and what was the third one? Remind me.
Balance, fun, kindness.
Kindness, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and doing things for each other. Like one time I was at a conference overnight and I came home on the Saturday afternoon and I walked in. I thought, I was going to be a bombshell in there. Jeff with the girls for a day and a half. How's that going to look? I thought, I opened the door. They'd been down to the shops. They made me spaghetti bolognese, which I absolutely don't like one bit. But I made that for them all the time. So they thought that was my favourite dish.
Yeah, they were
on the
trying to do it
table with the
nicely.
flowers. The house was tidy. They ran to the door. And at that moment in time, if you said to me, what could you do for your husband? I'd go, anything. And he just went out of his way.
Yeah,
and there are times when he hasn't been like that, when he's had to go. He might ring from work, so I'm heading home now, but, I wish I could go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, please go to the gym. You're going to turn up a much nicer person, which I didn't say that to him.
Yeah.
But it's almost, no, you need your time. Be considerate like that too. So
Yeah, beautiful.
is that covering it a bit?
Yeah, it's great, yeah.
So many things to talk about.
I know. Well, thank you, Chris, for your wisdom today and for joining us. And
Pleasure.
we're so grateful for you both.
Thank you. Oh, it's so fun to talk to you too.